We always tell you in your digital marketing campaigns to think about the buyer persona profile you are targeting. But what is actually this buyer persona profile? What do you use it for? How does it look? And how do you gather information and valuable data for it? Before we dive deep into this, don't forget to subscribe to the Digital Brunch channel in order to always keep up to date to news and everything in digital marketing. Coming back to the buyer persona profile, first of all, you should always understand that it's important not to confuse the buyer persona profile with the target audience. The target audience is your general audience, and it's actually it consists of various buyer persona profiles. A buyer persona profile is much more segmented than just female 25-35 from, I don't know, London, UK, or you name it. It actually represents a profile, an actual robot profile of your target audience, and it consists of information from age, sex, civil status, relationship status, professional information, but it gets deeper than that and taps into the goals and challenges that your buyer persona has, their key values, the main goals that they have when they purchase your service or maybe your product. Also, this buyer persona profile should consist of information like what are the main information sources of your target audience, what are their hobbies, who are the influencers that they follow, and so on. Now that you understand better what a buyer persona profile looks like, the obvious question is, where do you get valuable information for it? And first of all, I think that it's very important to get to know your customers, to talk to them, maybe to conduct user interviews, whether they are offline and online, and to try to get more and more insights on what the challenges, the goals, the information of your buyer persona is, and to try to segment them into categories. When we look at the online information that we can get for these buyer persona profiles, we can find information in tools, in digital tools like Google Analytics, Facebook Audience Insights, and so on. And I will show you some of this information that is very like low-hanging fruit for you and that you can get immediately. First of all, in Google Analytics, you could look at the reports that actually show you who your audience is and try to segment them. For example, you have the age and gender report, where you could look at the age and gender segments and see where the conversion rate and the number of conversions is higher. And this would be a first starting point for your buyer persona profile. Like, for example, you could look at each segment using the secondary dimension, like we see here, and look where is the highest engagement, the highest conversion rate, the lowest bounce rate, maybe the highest average order value if you're in e-commerce. Then you should look at the location report and see not only where your customers are coming from or your visitors, but also where you have the highest engagement and the highest conversion rate. Another important report is affinity categories that shows you what your buyer persona is browsing, and here it would be interesting to also use the secondary dimension to try to find actual segments and actual user profiles, and of course put all this information together and try to build an actual profile. You also have the in-market segment report like you see here. And yes, you should take all this information that you find in analytics and actually try to compile it with other sources. Other interesting digital tools could be Facebook Audience Insights, which you could use for your current audience or for a potential audience, and try to find out for the fans of a certain meta page. We no longer call it Facebook. You could see what other interests they have and what are the main demographic profiles for them. YouTube Suggest could show you what type of content your user profile is looking for and actively searching for, because that's the information that they are missing, and maybe you can find there a challenge that they have. The keyword planner could show you the main attributes that your buyer persona is associating in searches with a certain keywords, or the brands that they are associating in searches with a certain keyword or key phrase. And last but not least, SimilarWeb could actually help you with the audience interest reports, which are available both in the free and the paid version. And here you can see the same thing: what are the main interests of your target audience. Of course, it's not the same thing to gather all these types of information and to actually have a segmented profile. And I think here the empathy and really getting to know your customers and talking to them could help you get all this data and separating it into silos and actually drawing this profile of the buyer persona, and then checking if the data is the same with reality.